it today, Lesson 26. Our reminder page for this lesson, page 301, starts with a rhythm exercise, one of those you don't need a keyboard for. The only difference from the rhythm exercises you've done before is that here you have to provide your own metronome beat. Further down the page, you're asked to play some scales from memory. If you find you can't do it immediately, it's a good idea to go back and get the scales off by heart now. As usual, you should try to answer the questions and then turn your cassette back on to check if you were right. So, which notes are the mediant, dominant and leading notes of the A major scale? Well, the mediant is the 3rd degree of the scale, C sharp. The dominant is the 5th degree, E, and the leading note, the 7th degree, is G sharp. As for the E-flat major scale, the mediant is G, the dominant is B-flat, and the leading note is D. You may well be finding it hard to remember these terms, mediant, dominant, submediant, and so on, but you will get used to them as you come across them more often in future. Before moving on, make sure you read the comment on practice at the bottom of page 301. This lesson, like the previous one, does have quite a lot of technical exercises, and we're well aware that these aren't the most exciting pieces to play, but do persevere. In a very short time from now, you'll be playing far more interesting and attractive music than you probably ever thought you could manage. All you need to do is take on the challenge of these exercises, and your technique will gradually become good enough for really professional-sounding keyboard playing. The first technical exercise for this lesson is Exercise 279, another in the series designed to help you play smoothly and accurately at speed. As always, start slowly, only getting faster when you're completely confident of the notes. In this exercise, and in all those that follow, we won't be playing the repeats on the cassette. Exercise 279. The next 4 exercises will complete your preparation for playing arpeggios with the thumb under technique. You'll remember that we began this in the previous lesson. The reason we're devoting so much time to this particular arpeggio technique is that it's both very important and far from easy. If you have the patience to stick at these preparatory exercises, then the arpeggios themselves won't prove too difficult to hurdle. Exercises 280 and 281 are exactly the same as exercises 272 and 273 in the previous lesson, except that they're for the left hand instead of the right. Here's exercise 280. And now, exercise 281. exercises 282 and 283, some bars are marked with a red line. This is because these particular bars are especially difficult to play. You have to really stretch to manage the thumb under. In fact, if your hands are small, you may find it virtually impossible to reach. So regard the bars marked with a red line as optional. Play them if you can, but leave them out if you really can't manage them successfully. You can easily go straight on to the next bars not marked with a red line. So let's hear exercise 282 for the right hand. Exercise 283 is for the left hand. Notice, by the way, that it continues onto the next page. Exercise 284 is your first chance to actually play arpeggios with the thumb under technique. If you've played all the preparatory exercises, your hands should find what's required of them now quite familiar. You'll need to concentrate hard on making the arpeggios flow smoothly up and down the keyboard. So it's best to play with the two hands separately for quite a while, until you really feel able to put them together. Listen carefully to the cassette to hear what the arpeggios are meant to sound like, and then listen equally carefully to your own playing to tell if you're getting it right. Exercise 284. Pages 308 and 309 of your booklet may look a bit daunting at first, but actually the 5 exercises there are very similar. Each one offers you a different chord sequence to play as arpeggios. And because the arpeggios are across 2 octaves, you have to use the thumb-under technique to play them. All the exercises are designed to be played by the 2 hands separately. You'll find the left hand easier if you play an octave lower. As usual, the left hand fingering is given under the notes. When you first play these arpeggios, you're almost certain to stumble quite a lot, hitting the wrong note or not playing smoothly at all. But daily practice will gradually iron out the hitches, and you'll soon find you're judging the distance between the notes correctly and carrying out the thumb-under movement smoothly. Repeat each 2-bar section as many times as you like before moving on. And remember, these exercises may take a little patience, but they are worth it. Exercise 285 has a sequence of chords all beginning on the note C. C major in the root position, the first inversion of A minor, the second inversion of F major, C minor in the root position, and back to C major again. Now, exercise 286, a sequence of chords beginning on the note D. Exercise 287 is a bit shorter. Here, all the chords start on the note F. Exercise 288 has chords beginning on G. And finally, exercise 289 with chords starting on the note A. At the bottom of page 309, you can see 2 other ways of playing these arpeggios, either as triplets in 2/4 time or as semiquavers in 3/4 time. Let's hear exercise 285 played in triplets, as in example A. here's the same exercise played as an example B in semiquavers. It's a good idea to try all the exercises in this section as triplets and as semiquavers, as well as the way they're written. Make sure you stress the first note of each group of 3 triplets or 4 semiquavers, really bringing out the rhythm clearly. And don't forget, always practice with your left hand as well as your right. Our piece with backing for this lesson is called Lady. You'll find it has plenty of arpeggios for you to play, especially in the left hand. There are 2 diminished chords in this piece. You'll remember that we came across some of these in Bach's Prelude in C in the last lesson. The F-sharp diminished chord in its second inversion consists of C, E-flat, F-sharp and A. The diminished F chord is F, A-flat, B and D. As we said last time, we'll be going into these diminished chords in detail later on, so just take note of them for the time being. You'll notice that Lady starts with the left hand playing notes an octave above where they're written. So the first arpeggio in the left hand stretches from the G below middle C to the B-flat above middle C. It may take you some time to read the notes accurately here, so give it some careful attention. When you get to the third line of music, the left hand once more plays an octave above, and at first sight you may think that you have an exact repeat of the first 4 bars. But watch out! This time the key signature has changed. Instead of B-flat and E-flat, it's F-sharp. So the notes may look exactly the same, but they're not. You have to keep an eye open for the key signature throughout this piece, in fact. It changes again at the start of the second page, becoming 3 flats, B-flat, E-flat and A-flat. And then it moves back to F-sharp for the end of the piece, a repeat of the last 2 lines of the first page. Be careful with this repeat. At the end of the second page, you're told to go back to the repeat sign halfway down the first page and play up to the word fine, which is where the music ends. You'll hear how it goes now, as we play Lady with keyboard and backing. Now here it is with the backing only. To end this lesson, we're going to play a Bach Prelude as a solo keyboard piece. You'll need to practice it with each hand separately at first, watching the fingering and counting the rhythm. An interesting thing about this piece is how the phrase marks group the notes in a way you wouldn't normally expect. Each phrase of the main tune begins on the second quaver of the bar, not at the start of the bar. So in bar 2, for instance, the first quaver is linked to the notes before it by the phrase mark, and the next phrase begins on the second note of the bar. You'll hear the effect this produces when you listen to the piece on the tape. Also, notice the brackets around the bottom C at the start of the left-hand part. They indicate that if your keyboard doesn't go down that far, you can leave the note out, just playing the other C an octave above. This happens again right at the end of the piece. If you look at the fingering in the left hand, in the second to last bar, you'll see there's a jump from the thumb on the G below middle C to the second finger on the G an octave lower. The reason for playing this G with the second finger is so that you can reach the bottom C that follows with your fifth finger. If you aren't in fact going to play the bottom C, it's pointless to play the G with your second finger. Use your fifth finger instead. It's common sense, really. Before we go on to hear the prelude, there are just a few terms in the music that you haven't met before and that need to be explained. Starting at the beginning, there's the instruction allegro non troppo. You know that allegro means lively. Non troppo means not too much. So the whole thing indicates that the piece should be lively, but not too lively. At the end of the third line of music, you can see poco a poco cresce written in the score. Cresce, you already know, is short for crescendo, getting louder. Poco a poco means little by little. So the sound should get louder very gradually, more slowly than in a normal crescendo. Moving on to the last bar in the fourth line of music, you'll see the letters MP. This means moderately soft, just as MF means moderately loud. And finally, in the second to last bar, there's RIT, R-I-T. This is short for ritardando, and it means slowing down. It's almost exactly the same thing as rallentando, or rall, which you've already encountered. There's no need to worry too much about all these different expressions. You'll get used to them in time, as you run into them again and again in different pieces of music. So, to end this lesson, here is a prelude by Johann Sebastian Bach.